So cold, my nose is running. Seriously. And the storm's coming. A big one. Ivan, Evan, Isaac, whatever his name is, I don't want him. Nobody does. Gonna cause damage to the south of us. Tornadoes. We're expecting, what, 8 to 18 inches of snow? Maybe tornadoes in Minnesota too. So it's not wanted. Hasn't been one this bad since, developing storm this bad since 2011, I guess. Got me thinking, because, I'm a PhD student for, I'm studying Old Testament. I'm gonna get my PhD in Old Testament theology, Old Testament history, and it's one of my favorite things in the world. The Bible is my favorite book. You guys know that already. My students know that already. But I was just thinking about how, back in those days, back in the times of the Bible, you can do your own research. There was not a religion called atheism. There weren't any non-believers called atheists. Everyone believed in something, some type of God or gods. Jewish people, which is where our faith comes from, our foundation is Judaism, the Old Testament. They believed in monotheism, which is one God. And probably the only religion in the world at that time, and for some time, to only ever claim to believe in only one God, and that this God was in fact supreme over any other possible gods. It says that a lot in the Bible. But anyway, so thinking about that, I was thinking like how there wasn't any, supernatural versus natural is a recent phenomenon. Back in those days, there was only supernatural. Their entire life was centered around the gods. You know, they didn't have any. They didn't split everything up into God's control and people's control and fate's control, and everything was controlled by the gods. Period. For example, if you had favor with the gods, you were blessed. If you didn't have favor with the gods, you weren't blessed. And then sometimes you just didn't understand what God would do. God would just do things, and you'd be left without an understanding, and you would call it God's doing what is right in God's eyes. You actually see that quite a bit in the Old Testament. Just reading again through the Book of Chronicles, and you see how kings would meet in battle and say, one would say to the other, because they're both faithful, they're both believed in God, but yet they need to fight for whatever reason they're fighting, whether it was a good reason or a bad reason, and they would say, let us meet in battle, and let's see what God does, and God will do what is right in God's own eyes. I mean, you even see examples of, situations where, prophets or seers warn leaders not to go out in battle because it's going to be the end of them, and the king would be like, well, I got to lead my people and let God do what is right in the eyes of God. I just find it amazing how, they didn't split things up. Everything was controlled by the God, or if you're the Syrians, or the Persians, or the Philistines, or the Babylonians, gods, And today it's so different. Today we're worried about weather. And we're saying, if this low pressure comes in, and this high pressure comes in, and it meets all the warm air of the south, and the cold air of the north, and there's going to be, new record for tornadoes hitting the ground, a new record for deaths, and in fact, if it was the Old Testament times, the people would be praying to God, saying, "Deliver us from calamity." In fact, they'd probably even add the fact that we know we haven't been good. We haven't been following you. We've turned away from you. We've turned to other gods. Forgive us. And they saw nature, supernatural nature, as God's way. I got a knot right in the middle of that bud boy, right? Let's see if this knife can handle it. Yeah. Get on down there, boy. Got a sharpener coming in the mail. I can't wait to try it out on this knife. See if I can make it sharper. Look at that. So where was I? Yeah, so we always look to other sources besides God for answers. And I myself am praying that God deliver us from the potential horrors of this storm. The horrors that hit in 2011 was over 300 people dead, lives ruined. And I just pray that God protects us. God protects all of us. And that whatever calamity is coming, that He would pull back and forgive us. Because, we have forsaken God's ways. We have turned from God. But I ask that God forgives us. Forgives us as a nation, forgives us as people, individuals. And don't punish us like this. It's what they would have done in the Old Testament, and the New Testament. There's still Jewish way of thinking in the New Testament, Things didn't change overnight. Let's see if we can get this thing going. Oh, almost did it backwards. There it goes. Come on, baby. There you go. There's my small ones. Before it's too late. Oh man, I am just amazed. You guys don't know how cold it is in the shop. I am just amazed at how much heat. Losing my fire. Come back. There it goes. How much heat this bad boy produces. A little more smoke this time than last time. But I'm gonna get it going and I'm gonna put it right in the grill behind me. And that's where I'm gonna go to warm up. Thinking about making some more hot dogs too. There she goes. What does a fire need? You guys know the answer to this because you're smart, right? What does a fire need? What? Fuel. And oxygen. It's got to have stuff to burn, but it also has to have oxygen to breathe. So I cut this board down. I'll put it right inside the bottom of that. I'm gonna put it right in there right now since it's popping so much. There you go. Just a little fire. Heat will help. The pan of metal will help radiate the heat up for me. So what does my smoke look like in here now? Not too bad. When it's done, I'll just suffocate it. I'll put the lid on it. That was Chappy'S word of the day. It was my job as a chaplain to have something put together whenever the commanders got together, the battalion commander and company commanders got together. They would expect me to have kind of like a word of encouragement. And I would say what I just told them, say something similar to what I just told you to them back in the day. And it would just be a simple reminder not to look always at the here and now, but look at the bigger picture. And don't forget God. We live our lives in such a split segments of this is my church life, and this is my family life, and this is my school life, and this is my job life. It wasn't like that back in the time of the Bible. Everything was together in one. And together, holding it all together was God. Us today, we tend to put God over here in this little box. Keep him over there whenever we need him. And so I'm just encouraging us to put God back in the center of everything. Let him be our life. So when things happen, like the storms that are coming, we can simply pray, like I did, and just ask for God for mercy. And to remember us as nature takes its course. And remember ultimately that everything is ultimately controlled by God. And I don't want to get into the philosophy of that. But be encouraged and pray. That's the word of the day. Word of the day is to remember to pray. Too easy. That would be my message for the commanders. Man, it's nice and warm. Seriously.